Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And yes, fortunately today I will once again be on my own, but then again, I'm never really on my own because guess what? I've got y'all. I have our wonderful audience, so I hope that you're tuning in. Just to know that you are allowed to put in comments, and I'm kind of not kind of paying attention. I'm paying attention to your comments. So if you got something to say, go ahead and put it in the comments section wherever you're watching the program. If you're watching us live, and hey, if I like what you got to say, or even if I don't like it, but I find it interesting and want to respond to you, hey, I'll go ahead and I'll let the folks know what you have to say. So this is kind of an interactive show, and it makes it a little easier when it's just the two of us. But we're not just the two of us, but when it's us, no Mikey to interject. But anyway, doesn't matter. Mikey, we miss you. We wish you were here. Anyway, today is Thursday. Once again, this is the day in which we attempt. Yesterday is the day we attempted to begin the weekend. This is the day in which, okay, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen. And it's got to start happening this evening, right? In other words, if we're working tomorrow, something has gone seriously wrong. But anyway, we shall see. We shall see. Before we get started in this episode of the program, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start by shouting out to Hitman Industries. If you're looking to re-barrel your current rifle, or you're looking to do a new build, the place to go in order to get both rifle and pistol caliber barrels is Hitman Industries. You'll find them at hitmanindustries.net. Check them out today. Then we also got California Republican Assembly. Become a part of California's future today. It is the fastest growing and largest conservative grassroots organization in the state of California. So check them out today at cragop.org. Then we've got Hog Holsters. If you're looking for inside the waistband, outside of the waistband, concealed carry or tactical holster, check them out at hogholsters.com. And when you go there, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. That's all caps, no spaces, and get your discount on your Hog Holster today. And if you're looking for outdoor gear, tactical gear, if you're looking for any sort of gear, the place to go, quite frankly, is uscombatgear.com. They've got all sorts of fun stuff. They've got hats, they've got boots, they've got backpacks, they've got water jugs, all sorts of outdoor gear that you'll need. It's veteran owned and operated. So check them out. They have they have fast shipping, great products, good prices. Check them out. That's uscombatgear.com. You have to forgive me there for a second. I got slightly distracted as my phone started to ring during the middle of the program. I mean, do people not know what I'm doing about this time? Evidently not. Evidently not. Well, they either don't know or they don't care. I'm going to say that's probably a little bit of both for a lot of folks. Anyway, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's news. Let's see here. We got that and we got that, and we will move that right along. All right. Media blackout on Biden on Biden corruption. Now, this was a story that I actually pulled out. I wanted to kind of go over. It was really kind of it's really a commentary, and it was a commentary that you'll find at The Hill. And here it says, America's state media. The blackout on Biden corruption is truly Pulitzer-level stuff. And this was written by Jonathan Turley. He's an opinion contributor there over at The Hill. It says, this week, Representative Byron Donalds, a Republican from Florida, tried to do the impossible after he and his colleagues presented a labyrinth of LLC shell companies and accounts used to funnel as much as $10 million to Biden family members. Donalds tried to induce the press to show some interest in the massive corruption scandal. For those in the press, this easy pickings and Pulitzer-level stuff right here, he pleaded. The response was virtually immediate. Despite showing nine Biden family members allegedly receiving funds from corrupt figures in Romania, China, and other countries, the New Republic quickly ran a story. Headline: Republicans finally admit they had no incriminating evidence on Joe Biden. Now, the thing that gets me about this is the existence of, okay, so the thing that's a trip about this is they act as if there's absolutely positively no there there. And I agree. The incriminating smoking gun, we'll put it this way. There's a smoking gun there, but they haven't done the ballistics yet. So they haven't got ballistics back on the yet. But clearly in this case, there are several smoking guns. I mean, there are accounts, LLCs, that were set up that were set up during the time in which he was vice president. And there's money coming from countries that Biden had business with, that had business either before or in front of the vice president. And these companies or these individuals, these governments in some cases, are putting money in these family members' accounts, in these accounts. That money is going to Biden family members. And no one is asking, okay, what was the money for? Does that not sound like a reasonable question? I mean, Hunter Biden is probably one of the most unqualified people in the world to be receiving funds or resources from any of these folks. Right? But he was the mastermind behind all this. You had nieces, you had nephews, you had cousins, you had wives, you had ex-wives of sons. I mean, you had all these people in the Biden family who were getting paid for what? From oligarchs, from shady business people, from countries that once again have business before the vice president. Now, like I said, there are clearly a few smoking guns. The only thing we have not done yet is done the ballistics to see. Okay, let's see now. We got bodies and we got a smoking gun. How about we start doing the ballistics? And I think that is exactly what Republicans are asking for. They're saying, hey, why are we not asking these questions? Why are we not doing the sort of investigations, demanding the sort of documentation and testimony that will actually drive people to answer some of these questions? Only seems to make sense. But unfortunately, justice or truth, when it comes to the mainstream media, really only applies. Let me clarify. It only applies to what they believe is important, what they believe is quote-unquote truth. They're not interested because they invested a lot of time, energy, and effort getting Joe Biden elected. And they're in bed with them and with the rest of with the congressional Democrats and with the Senate Democrats. They're not interested in the truth. There was a time when journalists with integrity would have said, there might be some there. Maybe we need to dig into this. But that's not what's happening. It's not what's happening at all. And by the way, folks, the Hunter Biden thing, this is not the only place in which this is not happening. And that kind of takes us to our next story, which has to do with alphabet agencies going after whistleblowers. Now, we've already seen, and if you've been watching, the weaponization committee that has been meeting actually has had a number of whistleblowers come there, right? The problem is that the whistleblowers now are under attack. First, by the media. Here you have CNN Politics is basically saying that Congress is questioning their legitimacy. So in other words, instead of listening to what they have to say and looking at the evidence, all they're attempting to do is to discredit these individuals. Now, and the reason why these folks are being quote unquote discredited, because they're coming up with damning information. They're pointing out various different things that are pointing out the politicization of the various different agencies. And by the way, it's not just the FBI; it's also happening in the with the IRS. Here you have the whistleblower, the IRS whistleblower in the Hunter Biden investigation was removed from the investigation. In fact, his whole team was removed. Why was he removed? Well, because he didn't like the fact that they were soft pedaling the investigation. He did not like the fact, or he had brought up, or he had mentioned the fact that they are not taking this investigation seriously. And the reason why they're not taking it seriously is because he's the son of the vice president. And that's the only reason. And now we're once again, so it's happening into the FBI. We already know it's happening in the IRS, and we've seen some of the other stuff that's come out regarding, let's put it this way, dating back even to the Obama administration, when you had the IRS investigating and going after conservative groups. If you had the name Patriot, for example, or conservative in your name, all of a sudden you became a suspect organization. In many cases, had your nonprofit status either delayed, denied, or rescinded because they didn't like the things that you had to say. But the IRS, the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about any of that. In fact, when the Durham report came out the other day, everyone was saying, "Look, there's no there. There's nothing there." And once again, while I will admit, there's the thing about the Durham report, I'll say is this: is that provable crimes are difficult to point out. And when I say provable, I mean this. Clearly, they made mistakes when it comes to investigation. I don't call them mistakes. Clearly, they did things they should not have done when it came to investigating the president, when it came to the Russian collusion. Clearly, they did stuff. Now, the question is, how do you prove that it was politically motivated? You can infer, and there's a lot to infer. But to prove motivation, was going to be a very, very hard thing to do. But I think what he was trying to point out was it was clear and very obvious that they should not have done what they did. And what's interesting is that even the agencies are saying, yeah, we had to make some changes because of stuff that happened during this, right? But let's be clear, they lied. Not only did they lie when they went to get applications, FISA, when they went to a secret court, right, in order to spy on American citizens on a presidential campaign, in an effort to thwart that campaign, and they flat out lied about it. Not only that, once again, and by the way, they knew about it. They knew that the dossier that they were using, that the foundation of that entire investigation was actually, it was from from a document that was created by and paid for a rival presidential campaign. Not only was it paid for, it was being pushed by them. And the other thing that they knew about it was they also knew that the primary source for it was a Russian asset. Who, by the way, later said, yeah, no, I told them it was all innuendo and gossip. None of it was, he wouldn't have relied on any of it as dependable information. Anyway, that was the foundation of it. And yet the media has nothing to say about any of that. Oh, nothing to see here. Absolutely, positively nothing to see here. Nothing to see about the investigation that lasted for almost 4 years. Nothing to see or say here about the investigation that hampered a presidency. Although he did get a lot of stuff done. But nothing to see here about an accusation that even carried into the 2020 election. Yes, it was used as a tool during the 2020 election, but nothing to see here. That's how Democrats roll. Or that's how the media rolls because, well, they're all Democrats, or most of them are. A lot of them are. Well, no, most of them are. All right, moving right along, George Soros, and once again, this is probably no new thing. We know that George Soros has been invested over the last decade in getting, in changing the criminal justice system here in these United States, and primarily he's been doing it by funding district attorneys. These are kind of the boots on the ground attorneys who are tasked with prosecuting criminals. And his whole goal has been to transform that, to basically get them to, no matter what crimes or no matter what laws the legislatures pass, his goal is to make sure that nobody ever goes to jail for them. His goal has been to make sure that criminals are set free on our streets to victimize the citizenry. And now they've actually been able to put a number to the amount of money that he's put out. And that's $40 million. And I stand by that statement. He's used that $40 million was used to help elect pro-criminal DAs. Now, they was noting here that I think, what were the numbers? Hold on, let me see if I can find the article. Let me pull the article here up again. Here we go. So here's the article here at the New York Post. Let me see if I can read a little bit of this to you. All right. It says George Soros, the most dangerous man in America, the investor who is intent on remaking the country in his liberal image, from our foreign policy priorities to undermining our criminal justice system. This week, the Post takes a look at the reach of Soros's billions, starting with his backing of prosecutors who don't prosecute. Matt Palomo, author of Man Behind the Curtain, Inside the Secret Network of George Soros, explains how the 92-year-old has gone around legislatures to decide what laws will be followed. And here, you see here, I'm trying to think here. Okay, so here's a list of all of a number of the DAs that he has helped elect. You see there, you have Kim Foxx there in Illinois. We know her pretty well. Kim Gardner there in St. Louis, Missouri. Alvin Bragg in New York. These folks are almost household names. You've got George Gascon there down in Los Angeles. Of course, there would have been Chesa Boudin from San Francisco, but he got booted. But look at the cities that they represent: New York, St. Louis, Cook County, Illinois. That's where Chicago is. Once again, Los Angeles. You've got Travis County down there in Texas. So anyway, what's funny is that if you look at it, here's a list. Here's a kind of a list. Let me just read some of these. 10 days after taking office, Portland DA Mike Schmidt, backed with $320,000 from Soros, announced that he'd refused to prosecute rioters from the summer 2020 instead defended them. Even though rioting is a felony, he doesn't prosecute those cases. That's just one. Here, let's look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's Larry Krasner, backed with early $1.5 million from Soros, dropped charges on more than 60% of shooting cases and 37% of illegal firearm cases in 2 years after taking office in 2018. Not coincidentally, shootings and homicides have spiked since then. Here's another one. Soros spent $275,000 in California backing Contra Costa County DA Diana Becton, who is selected by a board of supervisors to serve the rest of the term of her predecessor, who was convicted of felony perjury. Part of the selection process is to fill the vacancy included a questionnaire which Becton repeatedly plagiarized responses, including Martin Luther King Jr. quotes she somehow thought wouldn't get recognized. 3 of 5 members of the board selected her anyway. She later won the DA race in 2018. Becton has never served as a prosecutor before. Among the crimes Becton won't prosecute, graffiti, unless the graffiti offends her political sensibilities. Let's see, it says here, after a couple allegedly painted a Black Lives Matter mural, she filed 3 misdemeanor charges against them, including violation of civil rights. I'm sorry, they painted over a Black Lives Matter mural. And they call it, and basically also put they called it a hate crime. She won't prosecute vandalism, possession of tools to commit vandalism. I could go. I could continue to go through this list here, but folks, um, keep in mind once again, these are DAs who are refusing to prosecute laws, and you don't, you can decide, and you are given as a prosecutor, you have prosecutorial discretion on individual cases, right? You can decide on an individual case by case basis whether or not something is you feel you are going to prosecute something. What you don't have a right to do as a district attorney is you don't have the right to say I'm not going to prosecute people for this group of laws, because you're now supplanting your position as a lawmaker. Your job is not to be a lawmaker. You are part of the executive branch of government. Your job is to enforce the law. And that means that when someone breaks it and they are arrested, your job is to put them behind bars, or to make sure that they pay the price for breaking that law. If you don't, then they will continue to do what? They will continue to break that law. And that's exactly what is happening in this particular case, and why this group of DAs need to go. Nobody doubt it. Nobody doubt it. All right, let's move on here to boycott of businesses that aren't gun-free zones. Now, this was an interesting one because New Jersey passed a new law, right? After Bruin was decided, which basically said that your right to defend yourself, your fundamental human right to self-defense, or your constitutional right to keep and bear arms, that doesn't end at your front door, right? You do have a right to be able to defend yourself in public. Well, they decided, no, but they also said that, once again, just like with they basically said that you can regulate it reasonably. Well, New Jersey basically passed a law that basically made almost every public space a sensitive space. In other words, they made it almost impossible for you to actually be able to go anywhere and carry a firearm, even if you have a license, because every place is a sensitive place. Now, that law right now, there's an injunction that is stopping it right now because, well, it's unconstitutional. But now you have New Jersey newspapers, who are no friends of gun owners, never have been really friends of gun owners. Now they are calling on a boycott of businesses that aren't gun-free zones. So in other words, if you allow concealed carry permit holders in your business, they want to encourage people to boycott you. Let's read this. So it says, in the wake of a federal judge's decision halting enforcement, at least for now, of many of New Jersey's new sensitive places where concealed carry is permitted, one of the state's largest newspapers is calling on readers to boycott any business that allows concealed carry holders inside. The Star Ledger editorial board has never been particularly friendly towards gun owners or the Second Amendment, but now they aren't even attempting to hide their outright hostility. The editors start out by bemoaning U.S. District Judge Renee Marie Bum's interesting. Bum's decision along with the Supreme Court decision in Bruin, while holding out hope that the Third Circuit Court of Appeals will stay her ruling and keep most of the state off limits to lawful concealed carry. But the paper doesn't stop there. It says, quote, "In the meantime, we can press to aggressively enforce limits that survived, like the right for private businesses and homes to deny entrance to anyone with a firearm. 6 in 10 New Jerseyans believe the federal gun laws are too weak, and 72% are very concerned about gun violence. So we should put our money where our mouths are by boycotting businesses that allow guns on their property. Our hope is that businesses adapt by posting a no firearms sign in their front doors, and if they don't, remember to call and let them know why you were not patronizing them." Well, first of all, I think this particular piece is incredibly patronizing, but I won't. I won't digress. Ultimately, folks, here's what it comes down to. This is. I mean, imagine if someone decided, well, if you have this paper, what was their paper again? It was the Star Ledger. Imagine if people started saying, you know what? Oh yeah, the Star Ledger. And what if we said this? If this place allows people to read or a place has for sale the Star Ledger, let's boycott them, right? Because we don't like their freedom of speech. We don't like what they have to say. I'm like this. You should never encourage a business to restrict the constitutional rights of citizens. And that's what you're asking these folks to do here. You're asking these businesses to violate or to restrict the rights of individuals. In this case, the right to keep and bear arms, the fundamental right to defend yourself. What you're also doing is you would be making each and every one of those businesses a soft target. Because now, if criminals, who by the way don't care about your damn sign, right? They know they're not going around saying, "Oh, I can't carry my gun in here. I can't go rob this place. It's a gun-free zone." No, it doesn't work like that. What they know is this is a soft target because chances are people in here are not in a position where they can defend themselves. So it makes them a soft target. It makes them easy for a mass shooting. It makes them easy to be robbed. There are a number of folks who travel the country now advocating on behalf of the Second Amendment who have been in situations where they were not, they had the ability to carry, they could have carried, but they were put in a position where they were made victims because they were not allowed to have their firearm in a business because the business didn't want them to have firearms. So no, that is not something that we ought to be supporting or advocating. And we need to stand up against any publication that would advocate for the fundamental right to keep and bear arms to be restricted. Yeah. Now, it's time to move on to our parting shots brought to you by Hog Holsters. You can find them at hogholsters.com. Use the discount code RUNDOWN. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. All right, this first one has to do with, well, we all know. These are the Democrats have found it very interesting. These are both the defund the police folks. Well, hold on, I'll show this one to you. So this has some Democrats who are basically jackasses, and they're talking to law enforcement, which the cartoonist here has as pigs, and it says, "Sorry about that ACAB and defund the police stuff. Think you guys could confiscate some semi-automatic rifles for us?" Yeah. Basically, yeah. So basically what you have them doing is you have Democrats going after law enforcement and encouraging them to basically say, even though, we're trying to defund you, we still want you to do your job, or at least do what we tell you, not so much your job. This next one is in the spirit of what we've been talking about today. It's John Durham standing at a podium talking about talking about his report. And then it's got a bunch of folks standing there. It's got on the back of their jackets, it says CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, PBS. And you have John Durham saying Trump was framed by the FBI and a phony dossier paid for by Hillary and Obama knew all about it. Yes. Exactly. So Hillary and Obama knew all about it. They knew where the dossier came from. They knew that the whole investigation was fake. And yet they pushed it anyway. And then you've got the folks in the media, obviously they're not listening, with their fingers in their ears going, la, 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 la. I know. Okay, maybe it's not as funny as I thought. This next one's kind of funny, though. It's got, it's got a picture of President Trump and some other folks here. It says, no one is above the law except Hillary, with a picture of Hillary, the Bidens, picture of Joe and Hunter, Nancy Pelosi, picture of Pelosi, BLM rioters, the mostly peaceful, believe that's a mostly peaceful protest. And then you've got millions upon millions of illegal immigrants. That would be about 6 million to be exact. And Democrats in general. Hardy, har. Well, clearly, And then this last one. Oh, God, I got to get this. Bam, there we go. The last one. If you ever watch the movie Jaws, you will get this one. It's got the guy who normally would be Roy Scheider, but he's got Roy Schneider, but Schreider. But you've got Adam Schiff for brains. His head imposed on there and says, "We're going to need a bigger hoax," because clearly the Russian collusion hoax did not pan out for the Democratic Party. All right, folks. Well, hey, that is about it for today, except we've got to do that shout out to our sponsors. So please remember to visit Hitman Industries at hitmanindustries.net. Get your rifle and pistol length barrels today. Also go to cragop.org and become a part of California's future today. Join CRA. Hog Holsters, get your hog holster using discount code The Rundown, all caps. No spaces. Go to hogholsters.com. Get your discount today. And finally, get your outdoor gear, tactical gear, hunting gear, camping gear at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program, encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Feedback Friday. Thank you so much for participating with us. You take care.